Well, hello, everybody. It is another Thursday night, bit of fun, a bit of chat here at Eli and Kate headquarters, and we've got a bit of a fun one this time round. Garden planning, then. All the plans we're making, all the plans we're breaking, what's happening this year, what's a bit different, and everything in between. And we've got some fun. So, special guest tonight, then. Ah, hopefully he's going to manage this. He's a wee bit poorly, but he's a trooper and he's here. So we have got, as Kate put out on Instagram, our mate Scott's with us. Hello, Scott.
Hello, the show must go
The
on.
show must. Now you're a wee bit poorly.
Yes, as I was telling Eli, I did some traveling this week to see my family down in Louisiana. And as many of you know, these days, when you travel on the airplanes, you always seem to pick up a bug when you get home. So I've just been fighting a simple cold. I actually, so completely apart from gardening, and when we talk about poor design of things we use, so I had a COVID test, and I thought I might as well do a COVID test because I've got these tests that I'm not using, and so did a COVID test just to make sure that I wasn't that sick. And the ones the ones that I have, and I know they have a number of different types, has a little wand, and you put the little sample in it and wait 20 minutes, and there's a C and a T, and wherever the line is tells you that you have COVID or not. And my line was on the C, and I thought, C for COVID. Wow, I don't feel that bad. And then I did a follow-up test just to see if I really did had COVID, and I got a C on that one too. And I thought, wow, this is terrible. And then I actually read the directions, and the C is for control, which means you don't have it. And I thought, how poorly designed that what you're trying to treat doesn't give you such a clear answer that you're looking for. So at least it's not
Yeah.
COVID. It could be worse.
Yeah. I'm just going to say reading instructions, Scott.
I always read the instructions. I have a cabinet in my closet that has the instruction manual of every item I've ever bought for the last 50 years.
But did you read them?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I read them, and the reason I didn't read the instruction manual is because when I first got the kit, I read the instruction manual, but that was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Can't expect to remember everything.
Oh, I don't know if I'll ever forget how to do COVID tests. We did so many. Oh, Kate and I both had the type of jobs where we were around a lot of people, and Kate was having to be there. She was considered an essential worker, so she was having to be there. So we were COVID testing multiple times a week. And
No
great
fun.
fun, yeah, great fun that our whole generation can sort of talk to the kids about, and they'll have no idea what we're
That's
on
right.
about.
That's right.
But anyways, happy things to talk about then. Gardens,
Gardening.
because it's almost there. It's just like spring is so close, can always reach out. Yeah.
Well, I wish you could visit and reach outside to see how close I am to
How
spring.
much snow have you got?
I've got 8 inches of snow, and there's another 4 inches forecast tonight. So by tomorrow morning, we should have 12 inches of snow.
Right, okay, because you'll know this. Yesterday, roughly what temperature were you yesterday morning when you got up?
Let's see, yesterday morning, it was close to freezing, either just very slightly under or just slightly above
Right.
freezing.
Okay, I'm going to have a look because you always have your handy dandy chart. I don't. But just because I'll do it in F for you, yesterday morning we were 12 degrees centigrade, which is
Okay.
53.6 Fahrenheit, at like 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. You're getting
It
close
was
to spring.
yeah, it was so hot. Today, however, it was 5 Celsius, so less than
Okay.
half that. And it did nothing but absolutely hammer it down with rain all day. So that's about right for spring for us.
Yeah, I'm looking. So right now it is 34 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 1.5 Celsius. And this is our high for the day.
Excellent. Okay. We're so different.
Yeah.
So different. Okay, then. So thinking about spring, right? Let's try this out for fun. I I'm going to sow some seeds without heat or lights this weekend. When will it be before you can do that?
Outdoors or indoors?
In the greenhouse, unheated.
Okay, so my greenhouse right now, my greenhouse is 73 degrees Fahrenheit, and so I'm not sure what that equates to,
Right,
but
let's see.
I've been monitoring it very closely, and so my greenhouse has been staying above 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 8 Celsius. That sound about right?
That's Scott. That's ridiculous. Your greenhouse is at my summer temperatures.
Yeah.
22.7. Right, I'm in a huff now. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's madness.
And the only reason that it's that cool is because it's overcast today and we don't have solid sun.
That's what I was about to say.
It's been closer to 30 to 35 Celsius actually, because we've had some days that were also in the 12 to 14 Celsius range with sun, and so the temperature just skyrockets. And so it's the nighttime temperature I'm most concerned with.
Mhm.
And so in the greenhouse, I think I can start some seeds, some of the cool seeds, maybe in the next couple weeks.
What about outdoors then? Given that you've got so much snow, when does that go?
And so the snow, it could last into May, uh, even the beginning of June. So years ago, this would be about 8 years ago when I was at the school garden, and we used to do the annual plant sale, and that was our big money raiser. I grew thousands and thousands of plants for the kids and the students would help out, and that was a big fundraiser. And we would have the plant sale the third weekend of May. And that year in particular, we had to cancel the plant sale on the third weekend of May because it was snowing and it was too cold.
So, okay, so I think this is the big change then between us. So, my greenhouse isn't nearly as warm as yours because we are so overcast here.
Mhm.
So, there's a certain teenage movie about vampires
Okay.
and how they live somewhere because it's really cloudy all the time, because they get found out when it's sunny because they sparkle. It's one of Kate's favourite movies, people, really. But I always think they could live here. We could have vampires everywhere
sure.
and we wouldn't know here because it's so overcast all the time, which means our greenhouse doesn't get super hot because you need the sun.
That's right.
But the other side of that is we don't get snow and the freeze like you do.
Right.
We get rain most of the year because it is that temperature. So, like right now, it's really, I'm sick of rain already and it's not even spring yet. But I can probably, depending on what it is, lettuce, spinach, that kind of thing, I could
Right.
probably be sown outdoors in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we can get by with maybe the beginning of April for those plants. And if I put hoops and plastic over my beds, I can definitely do it in April.
Mhm.
But it's still a
I feel
challenge.
guilty now. I'm dragging you on here to talk about planning for the garden, and it's going to be so long for you. Yeah, I feel like I'm teasing you. I'm like, ha ha ha, look what you could have had.
I actually have everything planned. I've made some videos in recent weeks that talk about, a lot of the plans. I've got all my seed packets. I've got all of my beds figured out. It's just a question of waiting for the weather to cooperate to put those seeds in the ground.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. So true, folks. It is so not our favourite movie. However, the sparkly vampires thing is a random comment of Kate's. We have neighbours who have artificial grass. Now, you guys know Kate loves her lawn. So whenever we go past this artificial grass, it sparkles in the sunlight. So Kate calls it vampire grass.
Nice.
So yeah. So if you ever hear her saying that, that's why. Twilight
I'll remember
joke.
that.
Vampire grass.
Most of the people in my neighborhood that have grass, it's artificial grass.
It's a bit different for you though, because you don't get a lot of rain and you get a lot of sun.
We don't get a lot of rain. We get a lot of sun. and the some and we're so dry, the humidity is so dry that grass can only stay green for a month or two in the year, and then it browns.
Yeah.
And so to have green grass, it's got to be artificial.
Yeah. We're in the 90s for humidity for most of the year.
Wow.
A dry day here is celebration.
I'm looking, so outside right now, because it's snowing, we're actually at 89 degrees or 89% humidity. So that's
Let me
unusual.
just tell you.
But that's only because it's actively snowing, so the humidity is a little bit higher.
Now, I should explain, right, for anyone who's sitting thinking, Eli didn't introduce this guy at the Sun. She always introduces him. Scott and I have this ongoing thing, and we're both complete weather geeks. And we have setups in our gardens, and we monitor the weather, and we tell each other what our weather's like. Scott's like this close to being British with his obsession with the weather. So I can tell you that today then, so difference is obviously it's evening for me, and your day's just really kicking off.
Right.
But it's currently 6.3 degrees centigrade, and the humidity is 96% humidity.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's always in all my planning and thinking, and things rot on the ground quite often for me. It's not about can I get it to germinate, it's can I get it to germinate before it rots.
Yeah.
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 But
and see,
anyways,
I have the complete opposite problem. When I'm germinating outside, I have to water sometimes every hour and a half, because it just dries out so quickly. You know, the surface where that top, centimeter where the seeds
where the
are,
seed is.
and that has to stay moist, and it's so dry here
That's crazy.
that it is completely different.
I can't even imagine that. That's just. Would I like that? Would I prefer that?
Well, so there's a couple options when you do that. So I like starting from seed. It's cheaper. I got more varieties to choose from, and I have the time to take my water wand and water in the morning and at lunchtime and again in the afternoon and then again in the evening. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But for people who are working full time and can't do that, they're transplanting. They're not starting from seed. They're putting plants in the ground.
Which explains a lot. But there you go. Someone else who's desperately looking for some sunshine. So yeah, Jimmy's coming over to get some sunshine.
All right. Glad to have you on the channel, Jimmy.
Oh, you've not met him yet. Okay.
I welcome everybody.
Planning then. I know because I watch all your videos and we chat, so I know what's going on with you, and I know you've got some really exciting things going this year. Now, I've jumped about a little bit, but my one thing I did that was a big planning exercise for me that's fed into this year was a couple of years ago, I went down the succession planting thing where I was really doing my best to make sure I was always getting harvests all year, making the best out of the space I've got, because as you know, I've only got a tiny little bit of growing space for my veggies. What's your big change for this year then, Scott? In a nutshell, I know it's massive. What have you done?
So my big change is that I've changed everything. And that's it in a nutshell. And so I strongly encourage, and I've said this many times, find what works best for you and keep doing it. Find the varieties you like to eat and grow those varieties. Find the varieties that are easy to grow, especially for me in a challenging Colorado environment. If it grows, then keep growing it. If it's a plant that you have fond memories of because your grandmother grew it and you want to keep growing it, that's what I encourage. And that's what I've always done, is to grow essentially the same plants every single year. And I'll try a few new things, but no big change. This year, I put the call out to the viewers of my videos and said, you tell me what I should grow. And that's my plan. I took over 200 suggestions of different plant varieties, went through them. I still had to try to match it to my growing season. I couldn't go crazy and decide to grow pineapples and bananas, but I still matched with what I could grow. And that's what I'm doing. Everything I'm growing this year in my main vegetable garden area is new. And I should be able to keep it alive and growing, but it's kind of exciting because I
It's
really
new.
don't
So
know.
thing is, you guys are quite good for ideas because we did that with them last year. Because for the new guys who don't know, Scott and I did a lot of growing together last year, and we grew tomatoes, which doesn't sound super exciting, except we both had a big challenge. So what we did was we let the viewers on Scott's live stream choose the tomato varieties we were going to grow, and we both grew them. And then your challenge, Scott, was you tried to grow along with me in your greenhouse in your temperatures and your sunshine. And I tried to grow tomatoes outdoors in my garden here in the central belt of Scotland in my cloud and my rain.
Yep.
And we both did okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I got blight, so I didn't get all the way to the end of the season, but we still got a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
We did really, and I started with you saying, you can't grow tomatoes outdoors here. It's not going to happen. And I was quite stressed, and you were like, it's okay.
The
So
basics,
you guys are quite good.
The basics are the same. How you grow tomatoes is essentially the same everywhere. We each have our own little quirks with our weather and our climate and our soil. But yeah, I'm not too worried that the plants I've chosen won't grow. I just don't know how well they're going to grow,
Yeah.
and if they're going to taste as good as
Mhm.
everyone says they're going to
How much
taste.
work it's going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a good, exciting change thing then, but it is a lot of unknown. I'm going to sound really disappointing compared to yours. So as I said, I went that year where I went all out succession sowing, and I was sowing constantly, harvesting an awful lot. The garden was absolutely packed, which looked amazing on videos, but I found it was so stressful. It was so much work to keep that going and keep planning, and always been looking after seedlings. And I ran out of space in the greenhouse really fast and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it took the fun away from me. So this year, I'm going much, much more relaxed and
Good.
chill. I've got a basic plan because I'm a planny type person. I have to do that. But it's much more chill. I'm growing much less and I'm growing lots of new stuff. So what I'm going to do, oh, there you go. So I'm going to go with this one because it kind of fills in here. How is the plan growing for all the new varieties of veg? Okay. Pammy, that's, you know, the top secret stuff, so that's naughty. Right. What's new in my garden, Scott? What's new last year in my garden?
What's new in your garden this year?
Last year.
Oh, last year.
First
You like
time,
the
yeah.
berries crazy cherry or
Well, that was new tomatoes, yeah, but I'm thinking in terms of a big plastic green thing.
oh the green stock. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I have to say now one of the first, because you can now get them.
Yeah.
One of the first people in the UK to get a green stock vertical garden, but you can grow just about anything in, because the lovely Scott sent me one as a gift because he's mad, and I love it so much.
Absolutely.
It's fabulous. I'm going to be doing lots of fun in that then. So this year
Now,
I'm going to focus on you. Go.
I was going to say, did you see my video from last week about planning in the green stock? You can download that on a PDF file,
Mhm.
and I specifically talk about succession planning or planting. So
Mhm.
I think
Very
it's an
handy.
easier way to do it. Very
Yeah, I
handy.
did. I was watching with my pen and paper.
Good.
But I'm going to do a thing, right? I've got a bit of a theme for this year. So I'm trying to get as much out of the garden as I can. I'm trying to grow some fun things. I'm going to grow something that I thought I wouldn't ever try growing again. But I'm going to really make use of the green stock for this. So I'm actually going to grow a lot of dwarf varieties in the green stock.
Oh.
So you know, last year I did my dwarf tomatoes.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to do dwarf tomatoes in the bed I did peppers in last year.
Okay, well,
maybe I can join you and I'll do some
yeah.
dwarf tomatoes in the green stock.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. That'll be fun. I'm
Yeah.
also gonna grow. This is a first for me. I'd never even seen them before. Dwarf peas.
Oh,
So tiny little pea plants. Thought it's worth some fun. Because the whole thing
interesting.
with normal peas, they sprawl, so they take up space, and we love them. But what we find is they never make it into the house. We just eat them in the
Mhm.
garden. So I'm going to just go with some little dwarf plants to go for things like that. So this is my planning. I'm also top secret one, guys. Right, okay. You can't tell anyone this one. There's going to be a wee grow along coming up with another YouTuber for another dwarfy type thing that I've said before I would never grow in the garden again because it takes up far too much space. So you'll have to watch out for that one.
Hmm.
It's broccoli.
Interesting. Broccoli.
Broccoli. Little tiny tender stem broccoli plants. Little sprouting
Interesting.
broccolis. In the green stock.
Okay. We'll look
So that's
forward
my
to seeing
plans
that.
then. There's going to be some more stuff, but that's the exciting stuff. So tell me then, guys. Let's go, because we've done a lot of talking here. Who's doing dwarf tomatoes with us this year then? So we've now got, we knew I was doing it. We now know Scott's going to do it.
Yeah.
So who's doing it then? Brampton Gardener, come on. I know you love that stuff. So yes, it's going to be fun. So my green stock has made such a difference. And your video was great, the planner, because one of the things I've found trying to plan for it, how do you plan for something that has all those pockets and tiers and so yes, I quite like the drawing and I can do all that stuff. That's going to help.
Good.
Defo, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love my green stock. Pammy, do me a favour, because someone will find it very useful. Can you post a link for me to the people where you can get the green stocks for the UK and Europe, please? Thank you. Yes, so we've got now a company in Sweden. A massive
Yes.
green stock fan has been importing them and ships them to the UK and stuff. So
Yes, that's wonderful. And top secret, don't tell anybody. I'm getting, I shouldn't say I'm getting. I have another green stock.
what colour?
I can't tell you. It's top secret. It really is.
Is it bright blue?
No.
Purple?
No, it's brand new.
Sparkly.
Brand new. It's not even available for sale yet. It doesn't go on sale.
Oh, you're
until
just
next
showing
week.
off.
But
yeah, Mr. Big YouTuber.
But you'll see. I've got a video. Probably I'll come out next week. It's pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
You
Looking
will
forward to
be
that then.
jealous.
Yeah. Okay, tell you what then. Your plans this year, everything's new and different. What's going to be new and different in your new fancy Swiss green stock then?
Well, so the basics will still be the same. I like using my green stock to grow lettuce and spinach and the salad crops. I like to just walk outside my door and pick what I can use for a salad, then come in and eat it. So I'm not changing how I use it. It'll just be the varieties that I'm growing. And I've got some peas that I'll be doing in the green stock. I don't always
full-size peas.
Yes, but I think we look at peas differently. Most of the peas that I grow are snow peas, and they're not long vining peas. They're pretty small plants.
So snow peas we call mange too.
Okay, I've never heard that, so chalk that up to new information. Mm-hmm. And then apparently I'm also going to be trying some dwarf tomatoes in my green stock this year.
Oh, excellent. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then lots of herbs. I always like to do herbs of different types. So the basics of what I grow in the green stock are going to be the same. I'll just be doing new varieties.
We've got lots of folk grown micro tomatoes with us. So what have we got then? So I knew Brampton Gardener would be doing this. So Tiny Tim's grew them the other year. They were good. Tiny plants. Is that Bajaja? And
Bajaja.
Bajaja.
If it's Mexican, it would be Bajaja.
Cool. So that's one lot. We've also got Fran's doing dwarf tomatoes for the first time ever.
Nice.
Now, Fran is having a good year this year. Fran's a brand new gardener. So she follows us. Brand new gardener, first time last year. She didn't have the best year last time, so she got quite down on a lot of stuff. But a few little experiments were helping her out this year. Much better. Lots of success so
Good.
far. So
Good.
the dwarf tomatoes, I think, Fran, you might be good with those. And I'm guessing, Gail, that's you're growing them as well. Who else have we got? Oh, yeah. So there we go. So Claire, Red Robin, another Tiny Tim, and Aztec Yellow. We're doing Aztec Yellows.
Nice.
So Kate's actually got one of those upstairs right now. Doing not bad.
So, this is interesting because in most years I could tell you everything I'm growing. I could tell you that I would be growing sun gold and black crim and, from my memory, just give everything that I'm growing because it's been the same for so many years. Because I'm growing literally 50 new varieties of plants, I can't remember everything. And so I know I'm growing 3 different types of dwarf tomato, but I don't know which ones they are because my brain is cluttered with all this information of all of these different varieties I'm growing.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine what that's like. So I've always done things. It's like, I know what I'm growing. I've got my standards, so I can do that off the top of my head. But you are actually another part of your plan this year. A new variety. Have we got Mala joining us?
Yes. She's
hello,
trying
girl.
to come say hello.
My two are locked in the living room. So.
She's telling me that I've been sitting in my chair for too long and we need to go outside, go do something. So it's too early to eat. She's wondering why I'm talking, and I've got
and there's not a person.
The earbuds in, so she can't tell what's going on. So off.
No, just saying though, you've got another new thing this year. It's not a new plant to you, but it's a new variety. King of the North peppers.
Yes. And I started the seeds last week. I haven't had germination yet, but I've heard a lot. I think I had 3 or 4 people recommend them, which is why I chose it. And then you said you grow them, so
yeah. So I've grown them for years. I love them. The only thing you will need to watch for, I suspect, they were bred specifically for slightly cooler climates in mind, so they're kind of New England in mind.
Yeah.
So you may have to just keep an eye on them. So I've found that they're really, really susceptible to sunscorch, even here. It's the only time I've ever seen sunscorch on any type of plant here. Okay. And my King of the North gets it every year. So just keep an eye on that.
I normally put shade cloth over my tomatoes during the height of summer, but because we cool down so much in fall, I'm hoping that they will do well when it does cool down and get to that harvest point. So it'll be fun.
It's going to be exciting. So I've got one of my big cloth pots outdoors that had garlic in, but the garlic didn't work. I don't know how many UK YouTubers you follow, Scott, but we've got a bit of a thing happening here. Well, lots of us are having issues with the same type of garlic. Lots of us are finding it just isn't sprouting this year. So we think there's maybe a bad batch going about because we all use the same supplier as well. So I've got a pot that was destined for garlic. So I may, if you're feeling brave, I may shove a wee King of the North in it and see if you can bolster me again this year and keep me going when I'm crying because you can't grow peppers in my garden.
Yeah.
I'm certain about this one, mate. I really don't think I'm going to get peppers.
Do it.
I can't see my garden being able to give me peppers, but we'll
That's
try.
what you said about tomatoes a year ago.
And then I went and rearranged my garden so that I could grow tomatoes in it.
You added a whole new bed. You're expanding. Think of all these new things that you can start growing that you never thought you could.
Yeah, it's going to be so. So we're not adding a new bed.
What we did you redid the bed with the trellis.
We redid it, reduced it. So that's the tomato bed now.
And that's what I mean by adding the bed for the new varieties. But
some good news. So Gail was having problems with her peppers. So we've got some of the guys that are in our Patreon community are growing along things with us, and we sent them seeds. So seeds from my garden I've collected. Nice. And Gail was having problems with some of her little peppers, but she saved them. So yay, that's good news.
Nice.
I was a bit worried, Gail, so that's fabulous. Oh, Yeah, so there's another one saying it's the same. Kingsland white garlic this year. Everyone in the UK is complaining, just hasn't done well.
Okay.
But yeah, but it might turn into peppers. So you never know.
There you go.
I'm already thinking though. Peppers, especially my King of the North, they need a lot of support because it's big peppers on them. They're heavy. So I'm outdoors. How am I going to support all those branches?
So when you say big, how big is big? Like 3 feet tall, or
no, the actual peppers, the fruit.
the weight of the pepper.
It's big, heavy bell peppers on it.
Okay.
So I'm going to have a good think about that.
Tie it up with pantyhose. Nobody wears pantyhose anymore, but that's a great thing to use in the garden as like a sling.
Do you know what, Scott? I don't think I even know anyone that wears pantyhose.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody wears it anymore. I don't even know if they sell it in the stores, but that was one of the first things I learned about gardening years and years ago, was to save your wife's pantyhose so that you could support the heavy fruit in your garden.
I've actually seen that done here with melons. Not here, because we can't grow melons here, but down south people grow melons and they use tights in the greenhouse to support them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Kate. I know you built me an arbor, but it's for the tomatoes. I'm going to be in so much trouble. So what have we got? I'm just catching up on the comments. What have we got?
Jimmy Savage says they wear the pantyhose.
Jimmy wears them. Jimmy, I'm not surprised, mate. Yeah. Enough said.
Good to know.
See, you know, I give you Jimmy. I hope you like it.
Oh. I do have some in my garage, in my tool section, for any plants I want to support. I've had them for years and years and years and never used them because I am not typically growing the plants that I need to support, but it's good.
I was about to ask if you've had them years and years and years. How have you managed that? Are they not just all full of holes and ladders?
I don't know. I know I recently opened up a can. I pulled the lid off and it was filled with old t-shirts and cloths for sanding and staining, and there was a pair in there, and I thought, oh, okay, and then I closed it up.
Yeah.
That jar probably hadn't been opened in 20 years, so I didn't inspect them, but they don't rot. I mean, that's an artificial plastic, yeah. So
yeah, so
I don't know.
I'm being harassed. Like, right, okay. Story behind this. The whole thing with the tomatoes, and I've only got so much space, so I planned quite well for tomatoes. I am not one of these people that goes mad and grows 47 different types of tomatoes, because I just don't have the space. Some people, Sam, do grow 47 different types of tomatoes, and they don't really have the space for them. But Sam has sent me some seeds for her favourite variety, which is these Geralds. So they're not going to make an appearance this year because I've already got my plans in, but they're in my little book for next year, Sam. So don't worry, you will be seeing them. There'll be lots of Instagram updates, don't worry.
Okay, be looking for that.
Yeah. Okay, so mad changes this year then. How did you go about planning it? Because you're saying you've got so much changes you can't even remember the names of things now. It must have been a little bit daunting.
Well, so, and I showed it in a video a couple weeks ago. I just laid out all of the seed packets on the table and then began dividing them. I like to grow similar plants in my beds. And so I'll typically mix plants. So in one bed, I might have cucumbers and squash and Swiss chard. And then in another bed, I might have
cucumbers.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So do I. And so what I started doing was just combining the seed packets. And then I recognized I had so many peppers that I could devote one whole bed to peppers. So the planting was actually relatively easy. It's like, okay, all of these pepper plants are going into this one bed. And they were all the chili peppers, the hot peppers. So that was easy. And the same with the squashes. There were just a couple different types of squash. So it's like, I'll put those into one bed. And I basically just took one bed at a time after separating out the seeds and then deciding which bed I would use for which plants, and put a rubber band around all the seed packets and put a little sticky note to identify which bed it was going to be. And it was as easy as that.
So that's quite a nice kind of visual. It's quite a relaxed way of planning out,
Yeah.
but you still get the job done at the end.
Yeah. And it really was. It was visualizing my kitchen table as my garden, and then laying out the seed packets in separate sections, simulating that those were my
beds.
garden beds.
I'm going to look like an absolute crazy person next to you. I have a big spreadsheet in detail with plants, varieties, sowing dates, transplant dates.
I have that too.
Updates, multiple tabs, all the details on everything, color coded.
I don't go to that extreme, but I think last year I actually showed how I do that, and I put together. So I'll develop the spreadsheet, and then I'm still old school enough that I'll print it out, and then I'll put it down in my seed room, and I've got all of the varieties laid out, all of the plants that are being started from seed, and then I'll fill in the column with pencil on what day I start the seeds, what day they germinate, what day I transplant them, what day I put them out in the garden. So no, I don't think you're as unique and individual as you think you are in that respect. There's a lot of us that do that.
I was thinking, oh no, I really went to town with it, and I've got just so awesome spreadsheet that's reusable. But I did a video going through showing you how I made it, and I shared the file as well for folk that didn't want to go to all the effort like us saddos and make it. But yeah, sometimes you just need that to keep you right. Because otherwise it can just get mad, and before you know it, you're a month behind, and you've not sown the thing you had to sow.
Yeah, the hardest part that I'm encountering right now, and it happens every year, so I know which bed is getting which plants, but it's actually taking the calendar and figuring out when to start those seeds when you've got so many to start. And it's relatively easy. So I started all of my pepper seeds this last week, so that section is done. I'll be doing tomatoes here in about 2 weeks, and then that'll be done. But all those other, plants that may or may not be started indoors, that's the next phase. And I actually find that to be one of the more difficult aspects, is trying to decide, do you start it indoors and transplant it, or do you try to go directly in the garden and sow into the bed?
Do you do it with everything? Because I'm just realizing, I mean, I did it. It was all about my vegetable garden and planning my vegetable garden, but I don't go to that same extent with flowers. And now thinking, should I?
So flowers, I don't go to the same extent with flowers. I choose the flowers. I do often have the spreadsheet that when I sow and germinate, but I don't worry so much about the flowers. I'll start the flowers early and transplant almost everything the first time around. And then, I'll transplant once that plant gets established, then I'll just let the flowers self sow and spread throughout the garden. So I just kind of let it go.
Yeah, that's a thought, actually. I'm going to be sneaky. Folk don't necessarily see a lot of the flowers you grow because you focus a lot on your whole veggie garden thing,
right?
Which is amazing. I envy your veggie gardens. So many beds and massive spaces, and so cool. But I know you grow flowers as well.
Oh yeah.
So go on then. What's your favorite flower to grow?
So I really enjoy the echinacea, the purple coneflower. That's my favorite to grow and to look at. The rudbeckia, the black-eyed Susan, is also a favorite of mine. And so I really like to grow those two in particular. Calendula, and I've got calendula that has already sprouted. I started it along with my pepper, so the calendula is coming up. And then the cosmos, I've just got cosmos everywhere.
So what varieties are you growing?
I don't know. I just, this is one of those things that I've got so many flowers. I'm not like you where I've got, very specific beds and with very specific varieties. I I probably started 12 different varieties of cosmos a few years ago. And then the ones that grew well, I let self seed. And so what typically happens when you just let it go, it's kind of my wild pollinator garden. Uh,
Mhm.
the varieties just kind of meld together, and you really
Yeah.
don't know which is which because I just have this large space with a lot of different flowers growing. And so, I could tell you some of the flower varieties that I might have in the front yard. I have a Chinese poppy that I really enjoy growing in my front yard that comes back each year. But
Mhm.
most of the other plants, I just let them
Do their thing.
naturalize the space.
Yeah.
And I did that with poppies years, and not poppies. Um, uh, just flew out of my head. The state flower of Colorado, which will come to me in a minute. Um,
Aquilegia,
yeah, there you
columbine.
go. Columbine, the Aquilegia.
It's another
Uh,
one of
and,
Kate's favourites.
and so I had a bed 25 years ago before I was a master gardener. I was still learning a lot about gardening. And I planted, I think, 5 or 6 different varieties of that Aquilegia. And within 3 years, they were all the same. There was one variety that did better than all of the others, and it took over. And there might have been some cross pollination because the blooms, the colors were slightly different than the original variety. But when you naturalize a space, you often really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we find that we've got a lot of Aquilegia in the garden, and we started off with quite specific ones, like really specific colours. And now every year we just don't know what's going to come up. We've got
Exactly.
some little really frilly varieties of cross pollinated with other colours and things. So yeah, so it's fun because they do come up, they do well
Yeah.
for us. But it is fun to see. Now we've just got a question that I think is going to be a good one. Since it's your favourite, let's see then. Can we help Sam out? So our echinaceas have never done well in their garden, tried many types, but with no success. So go on, top tips then. What can we do?
So what I've found is move to Colorado and plant them in poor soil with hot summers. I think the echinacea is one of those plants that people baby too much. It's a pretty tough plant, and so if you water it too much, if you fertilize it too much, if the soil is too rich, I don't think it does as well. I think it likes to struggle a little bit, and so just you know I don't want to say don't water it, but maybe put it into soil that's not perfect and in an area that's as hot that you can find, and hopefully it'll do well.
So it sounds like Sam's going to be turning up at your door.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know it's something that we've struggled with? We've bought them as plants from the garden centre quite a few times, and they do great all through the year. They look fantastic, but we just can't keep them going. They just, no.
Yeah.
I think it's just too wet where we've got them. So.
Yeah, and I that's why I say a dry hot spot for some of those perennials uh, doesn't it's counterintuitive to what you think plants need, but some of those plants they do
Yeah.
prefer it.
Now that's funny. You're saying it's counterintuitive, but that is kind of what we go for. We're like, oh, the hot dry spot in the garden, get everything in there.
Okay,
Because obviously our hot dry spot's not anything like yours.
true.
Ours is probably what you'd consider to be like a nice warm spring thing. That's our desert bit of the garden.
Okay.
Because our front garden's south facing and it gets no shade whatsoever. And it's not got a lot of soil depth either. So that's the bit where anything that likes sun gets put out there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Oh,
For the little bit of sun that you get.
yeah. For that 2 weeks in June.
Right.
Yeah. That is actually the standing joke in Scotland. People go on about what a great summer it was those 2 days in June.
Well, so at least you have summer. In Colorado, it's stand outside and you'll see all 4 seasons in one day.
Yep. We joke about that here as well.
Like,
We can have sort of a little bit of snow, hailstone, whatever, wind, rain, bit sunny, then back to wind, rain again.
yeah.
What we don't really get is a proper autumn. I mean, I say a proper autumn. We don't get those beautiful autumn colours and the trees sort of all being beautiful colours. That only lasts a few days for us, and then usually the wind and the rain just knocks all the leaves off.
Yeah, we've had some really weird autumns in recent years. We have the aspen trees here in Colorado, the golden leaves, and they're beautiful when they change. We don't have a lot of oaks and maples. Most of our autumn is just a lot of yellow.
Mhm.
But the last year, I think the last 3 years, we had horrendously cold temperatures. And so I think it was worse 3 years ago, just as the leaves were beginning to change color, we had temperatures that were in the 15-degree Fahrenheit range, which look at
I'm
your
just going to
sheet.
get, because I know that's cold. 15, close the weather station. 15 Fahrenheit.
In September.
-10.
Yeah. And so
that's like the coldest it could get here.
And so what happens, summer isn't over yet. It's September. The leaves are just beginning to change color, and we have temperatures that cold, and it kills all of the leaves on the tree. And so recently we haven't had an autumn. We've gone from green leaves to black leaves, literally overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of us are ever happy, are we? We always complain. We always want what someone else has got weather-wise. Does anyone have that perfect, beautiful autumn, or is it just all photoshopped?
So I lived in northern Maine, which is the northernmost, easternmost part of the United States, and spent some time in Vermont. Vermont is famous for their leaves. And that part of our country, at least, yes, they have the very profound leaf change over a period of time. And it is dramatic, which is why millions of people travel there during the leaf season to see it.
Yeah, it's on Kate and I's bucket list. Vermont, we fancy it. Oh. Yeah, so Pammy is just rubbing it in. Happy. Pammy's down south.
Okay.
And what was it, 28 or something in your polytunnel the other day, Pammy? Yeah, you can go off, people. Yeah, it's the thing. It's not such a big dramatic difference in terms of what you get weather-wise, but between Pammy and I, Pammy's summer is so much hotter, so much sunnier than ours.
Sure.
But I think with the changes that are going on in the weather, I think our winters are not that far apart anymore, because it has been strangely warm here for winter the last few years. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so there she's saying there 30 degrees
30,
centigrade it was in her polytunnel the other day. And of course she had to post sort of pictures of it to rub it in as well. So yeah, you can go off, people. Okay then, so we're having fun in your garden. Lots of changes. We're getting a bit more chilled in my garden, but we're going to have fun with the green stock and some new wonderful things going in there. Anything new in your greenhouse?
So
you going to keep any tomatoes in there?
So I'm planning on doing at least one tomato plant. The mistake, and it really wasn't a mistake, it was just part of the learning curve. So I grew my black cherry tomatoes on the end of the greenhouse, and they just took over. And really, it shaded out. I had a fig tree over there, and the fig tree didn't grow very well. And so I'm going to move and just grow a single indeterminate tomato, don't know which one yet, in the very middle of my greenhouse bed. And then branching out from there, I'll grow some peppers in the ground. But I am planning to do some more pots in the greenhouse this year. Neither of us were excited about the Oasis pot, but
no.
But I still want to try pots.
I think you could make something that would be really good.
Yeah.
Make your own self-watering pots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried it one year. They weren't the prettiest, but it did the job. But I do have quite a good system. I've got the big quad grow systems, which I love.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
So
Oh, there we
we'll
go.
see.
So, tomato question, because for us, it's very much hitting tomato seed sown sort of season now. Folk are starting to do this the next few weeks. It gets really busy here. So, this is going to come up a lot. It's the
Sure.
seedlings grown indoors that have gone leggy. Potted them on, buried them, because that's the standard. Okay,
Yeah.
let's hide the fact that my seedlings are leggy. We'll bury them deep. It's tomatoes. So, we know they'll grow new roots. They'll be fine. Have you ever done it multiple times?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
It
yeah.
works fine.
Yeah. And each time you do it, you'll see all new root growth. So at the end of the season, if you pull that plant out of the ground, you'll see each of the root development points,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually a really fun thing to
Yeah, because you
see.
can always age it
Yeah,
almost the way you do a tree type thing. But yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
here's something, I mean, call me crazy, but if you are really starting too soon and you've still got weeks before your tomato plant goes outside, rather than repot it, go ahead and cut off the top, or cut off a runner and reroot the plant.
Mm-hmm.
So do away with all the roots that are already in place. Cut
Yeah.
the stem, put the stem in water to start developing some roots, and then put it into some potting soil. That will slow down all of that growth, but you're not losing the growing tips. You're
Mm-hmm.
still
Yeah.
keeping the
I
plant
actually
itself.
did that a few years ago.
Okay.
So I did it in a video, and it was because Steve, the lovely Steve at Green Side Up, it was something he was famous for. He used to just pull the suckers or the
Yeah.
side shoots off the tomato plants and just stick them in the ground.
Yeah.
And it was the thing he taught us was just you need to trust yourself. It is going to completely collapse and absolutely sulk. But I wonder if everyone remembers what he used to say. It was 2 weeks to sulk and a week to bulk. And it was
Yeah.
true. After a week or so, you'd see the pick up again. You've got
Yep.
a really strong, sturdy little plant grown from a side shoot. So that's always an option as well.
Yeah.
Greenhouses, oh, that's interesting. This is something I always like the comparison between greenhouses and polytunnels. So, greenhouses and polytunnels, yes, they'll see the same temperatures if it's got the same environments, but it can be really dependent on the brand that you have because I don't know what it's like. Because I know you've got a brilliant greenhouse, it's really good quality.
Yeah. So
There's a wide variety here.
it's got the polycarbonate dual-sided material on the outside. So it's thicker, and there's actually an airspace between the outer surface and the inner surface. So it's an insulating material, and so it can get as warm. The temperature is going to be the same as a polytunnel. The difference might be that the temperature will vary a little bit more in a polytunnel because the heat will escape as soon as it
Yeah,
cools
it's
down
much
at night.
thinner.
Yeah. Whereas the greenhouse I have with that polycarbonate exterior does insulate it, and it does hold the heat a little bit better. It still
Yeah.
cools down in time, but that's, I think, really the only difference. They're still going to warm up at pretty close to the same rate.
Yeah, so I've got a glass greenhouse. So mine's is much more what's seen here as a traditional greenhouse,
Mhm.
but mine's is kind of top end type of greenhouse. So the glass on mine is thicker than your average greenhouse. It's 4 mil thick instead of 3. So I do see that mine's compared to friends who have similar greenhouses, not as sturdy as mine, glass isn't as thick. Mine's will hold the heat longer than theirs, and it will
Mhm.
heat up just that little bit warmer than theirs as well. So it depends a lot on the individuals and obviously
Right.
where they're situated and things as well. Because a greenhouse or a polytunnel in the shade is never going to be as good as one that's out in the sunshine. So,
Right.
yeah. Always get that question every year. Greenhouse, polytunnel. Oh, go on then. So before we finish up tonight and you get to go rest, although Mala's wanting out, so I don't think you're going to be doing much running with her with a
Well,
ball this time.
the dog door is open, so she can go out if she wants to. She just wants my attention, is what it is.
Yeah. Oh. One thing then, leave us with one little of what's coming in the year that you're really excited about. What's new and exciting?
So this is my 5th year of my 5-year plan. And so for anyone who has watched my channel for the last 5 years, they can see that where I'm at now, I started literally with nothing.
Yeah.
And I developed a plan, and each year I've added more beds, added the greenhouse, added different structures. And so this year I've actually got some structures, a hidden garden that I've never talked about before that I'll be constructing, and some extra effort now with borders and pathways. And so as you will say, I'm turning it into a proper garden instead of the open space where everything kind of just flows together. I'm really going to be working on structures and paths and borders and making it into a garden that looks like it's been there forever, but it's the culmination of the 5 years of development.
Did you remember and go and grab a couple of Adirondack chairs for Katie and I for the gazebo?
Oh yes, I've actually
I wanted blue ones, remember?
I got red ones. But that's not saying
you had one job, Scott.
I can't also get blue. Blue just isn't as popular a color here for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, I do love my chairs in the garden in the sunshine.
Oh yeah.
So that's our big thing then for this year. What's it called, Scott? The little seating area at the back?
A gazebo. Is that what you're thinking of?
So in our garden, what do we call it a little bit?
The chillutery.
That's it. So the chillutery at the back then. So we are going to be putting the paving down soon. So we're keeping an eye on the weather because we need a dry couple of days to get the paving in. And then it's about getting that sorted. We've got the chairs. Kate's got her new chair. We're going to get some lights in there. We're getting a fire pit. It's going to be fabulous.
I've got a fire pit. I haven't made a video on my fire pit, but I built a stone in-ground fire pit that's really nice. So yeah, fire pits and chairs and the garden. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, just sit out there of a wee evening. It's fab. Yeah.
Yep.
We're going with a little fire pit that we can move because that little space gets used for other things. It's in front of the shed. So everything in our garden has to be able to be moved or repurposed.
Sure.
Because everything has dual purposes. So yeah, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So yeah. I think building the garden and even as something as simple as you and Kate taking that bed, pulling off the side, changing its size, and then adding the height to it, that's exciting stuff. Yeah. It really does make a difference as you
it does make a difference. Just wee tweaks here and there. We've changed our garden so much over the years.
Yeah.
Changed almost everything. So now we've got 2 minutes left. So I saw a quick comment come up that's passed us by now as we've been chatting. Veg trucks. Do you guys have veg trucks?
Like
a brand here. So it's
we don't have that
my
brand.
Herb bed. Yeah, so it's a brand, but it's like my herb bed, which is a kind of raised planter thing.
Okay.
You get them quite wide, lots, really deep. You can grow lots in them, and someone was asking for any recommendations. So again, it depends where it is and how much light it's getting, how much sun, but they are stunning. We use ours as a herb planter, and it's just fantastic. I know folk that grow carrots and beetroot and all sorts in there. So have a wee look at what's grown about and where it is, and just have a wee guess what you can go in there. Should be good. Now, it is Thursday night. This is unusual for you, Scott. What do you normally have going on a Thursday night?
Let's see. So Thursdays are when my videos typically come out. So
what's out tonight then?
And so I've got a video on how to make a raised bed from a pallet, a wooden pallet. And so Thursdays video comes out, I'll answer comments, and then I usually take the evening off and just
chill.
watch TV and just chill. And today I'm definitely
Sounds like a
just
plan.
going to drink some more tea,
Good.
and I'm doing nothing for the rest of the evening.
Well,
Not that I've done
you do
anything
that.
earlier today. And
You
I'll
go and
spend
you
some
have a
time
wee
with
relax. So yeah, with
I'll
Mala.
spend some time with Mala because she's
Yeah.
telling me it's
You
time.
need some time, yeah. Well, we will leave everyone with that one then. So, Gail, can you post up the link to Scott's video, and you guys can all go and watch that now that we've
Thanks.
finished for a little
Yeah, I
bonus.
saw
with some
Tony.
movies.
Tony just mentioned that he
Tony's
had just watched
turned
it.
up. Tony,
Yeah.
poor showmate.
He said he just
Maybe
watched the
be
pallet bed
working.
video.
Poor Tony does shift work, so it's not his fault if he's just turned up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Right.
Tony.
Okay, thank you for coming then, Scott, especially given you've been poorly.
I appreciate you.
Trooper.
Yeah, I'm going to try to actually get a full night's sleep tonight, so keep your fingers crossed for me.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody.
Then. Thank you so much, guys, and we will all see you again very soon. Although Scott will see you sooner than I will, because he's next. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.